Double mic here, I guess. Okay. By the way, this is a much longer presentation that I'm about to squeeze hard, and I don't really know what's going to come out of the tube and what's going to stay in there. Anyway, I'm going to talk for a little bit about a failed metropolis from the 21st century with a population of 2 million people. And I want to talk about kind of how places die, how a metropolis fails, because there's a lot to learn from it. And I'm going to read very quickly from a travelogue from there. The wind whistles through the brick canyons. You strain to pick up more sounds, but there's nothing. 10-story buildings with no one in them. An empty church. Apartment blocks, one after the other, with no sign of life. It reminds you of 1980s documentaries about the neutron bomb that would kill all organic life, but leave all the buildings standing. Streets with no people. I'm not even going to read these, but I returned to an old haunt and find it empty, but for my acquaintance Aki, lots of land has changed hands. She said people are consolidating parcels, there's more land and fewer hands. I start jumping to clubs. This is from the travelogue. The velvet is empty. I find 3 miserable naked men in a sex club looking for a mistress to savage them, etc. There's a Zen, blah, blah, blah. Like Billy Foyle in the last page of The Star is My Destination. And for a while I wish that I, like he, had bombs to scatter. But there's no one here to receive them. And in the metropolis, there are over 320 public parks, which should be a recipe for success. There's Reuters headquarters, there's the IBM regional office, there's 12 universities, there's American Apparel, the Swedish Embassy for reals, there's over 550 casinos and innumerable sex clubs. Suzanne Vega has played there, U2, Duran Duran, Jay-Z. Kurt Vonnegut read there shortly before he died, John Hockenberry, Dean Koontz. And for those of you who don't already know where I'm talking about, this may bring to life because the reason that this city is dying is because 90% of the people who go there leave. 90% attrition rate. So, you know, it would be like if 7.2 million people picked up and left from New York City. And what I'm talking about is Second Life. What I'm talking about is a really serious set of circumstances that are not sustainable. It's a sort of a non-sustainable environment, and the measurement for that is that, let's say, more than 10% of the people want to stay there. Let's use that as a measurement for a sustainable metropolis. I want to read, this is from the Second Life Manifesto. Second Life is a place dedicated to your creativity. It's about dreaming of something one moment and bringing it to life the next. Everything in Second Life is resident created, from the strobe lights in the nightclubs to the car or spaceship in your driveway. Imagine tinkering with the steering and handling program of a motorcycle while your friend tweaks the shape of the fuel tank, gives it a wicked flame paint job in world real time, etc., etc. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have a pair of black leather wings, build them, and give it a go? Okay. So here's what happens in there. Okay, if you can do anything, as it turns out, the things that people do look like this and this. These are the top 6 image results for an image search on Second Life. It looks like this. Looks like this. This is what happens when anyone can do anything. This is Suzanne Vega playing. Right, so that's much better than real life. This is more of it. And the thing that I want to sort of bring up here within the context of storefront and everything that we're talking about here is the similarity between this language that they're using and this. Choose what you want to do or watch someone else doing it. Learn how to handle tools, paint, babies, machinery, or just listen to your favorite tune. Dance, talk, or be lifted up to where you can see how other people make things work. Sit out over space with a drink and tune into what's happening elsewhere in the city. Try starting a riot or beginning a painting, or just lie back and stare at the sky. And it feels like it could be from the Second Life Manifesto, and in fact, it's from Cedric Price. This was part of his manifesto for the Fun Palace. which we won't really go into, and it was part of a larger movement that I owe Ben Turley to turn me on to, called Non-Plan. I don't really have time to get into this, actually. I just don't. Okay. Anyway, there's the Fun Palace. And, you know, I think probably everybody in the room knows that it leads to the Pompidou, which, you know, if you just move all the infrastructure to the outside, then you can have these interior spaces like this because there's no constraints, right? There's nothing to control what's going to happen in there. There's nothing that mandates one thing or the other. And that's what happens in there, and this is what happens in Second Life. Same set of circumstances. And you know, whether it's about you know, shopping or fucking, which are basically what people are doing. Oh, by the way, in case anybody hasn't heard this, and there's some debate over the every avatar in Second Life is using up over the year about the same amount of resources as the average Brazilian citizen. By the way, so are these free? Not really, as things go, and it's kind of okay because 90% of people leave. And as opposed to New York, where all these people stay. And it's true, like, there's switching costs and stuff, and there's all kinds of reasons not to leave. But there's also some flexibility within New York, of course. And so the question is sort of like, what, you know, what is it? Why do people stay here? And why do they leave there? And I want to use this as an example because this is another thriving metropolis, like New York, and it's about the same size. It's 8 million people. This is Orgrimmar. It's the largest port city in World of Warcraft. Everybody thinks they know who plays it. They're usually wrong. This is the remarkable stat. Really, it's not even the number of people playing. It's the 20 hours a week. Okay, most of these people have full-time jobs. 20 hours a week is a substantial part of the time that you spend not sleeping, not working. 20 hours a week on average. And you know, the games that we're playing look like a million different things, whether it's, you know, Halo or Age of Empires. But even games that we don't sort of think of in this way, I mean, everybody has an opinion and an idea about Grand Theft Auto. This is what's really interesting to me about it is that this is the city, right? This is San Andreas. And arguably, a great deal more care went into the planning of San Andreas than most American cities, arguably. Even Dope Wars, the most popular download for the Palm Pilot, is spatially situated. You're moving around Manhattan buying and selling drugs. But it's based on place, and that's sort of what I want to pay attention to. And because the question is that as all these technologies are allowing us to connect with 8 million people at once all the time and share these spaces together, and they're changing the ways that we play together, what happens when you take those dynamics and those ideas and you pull them out, and you pull them out into the real world? And the answer is that you start to get types of play that we haven't really seen before, like Pac Manhattan. You start to see things like geocaching. How many people in the room know geocaching, by the way? Okay, cool. It's good. You start to see things like this. You start to see, this is from a game that we did called Conquest, where there were codes embedded in the cities themselves. This is from something we did in Japan that involves optical recognition through the phone of the Port stickers. So the idea is to sort of get famous by putting your stickers up around Tokyo, and we can tell when somebody shoots it, and we can tell who's shooting it, and basically both get points. There's more to it than that, but this is the essential dynamic that we're interested in our games. Thus the name, that there's always something that's somehow physical and tangible, and that there's always something that's in the cloud, and that there are ways to connect these. I'm going to skip all this. Yeah, I'm going to skip it. I'm going to talk for a second about ambient informatics, which is a phrase coined, I popularized if not coined, by Adam Greenfield. I'm not quite sure, but the point is here that there's now this sort of layer of information that lies on top of real space. And it's, you know, it's like if you think of every single device in this room right now that is